Good evening, B's, G's, and B's, Peens, Vagines, and in-betweens. I come to you, as always, as Charles, otherwise known as Sipo. Welcome to WILIscredia. We're doing a special Savage Cinema edition of just an open forum discussion, and I decided to bring some horror friends to discuss gore and desensitization. To my immediate left, I believe this is your first time on my channel, if I'm not mistaken, Ken.
It is. It absolutely is, and I'm very
welcome.
excited.
Introduce yourself, sir.
I am Ken Sledge. I am half of the team of Sledgehammer Horror. Unfortunately, Ashley had to work tonight, so she won't be joining us. First off, I want to say that intro was dope. That
Yeah,
it
was. Really was.
It was great.
That was great.
I was invested.
I was like, go on.
I was like, am I on the stream?
Somebody disagrees.
Always a critic.
So at Sledgehammer Horror, we review horror movies. We do a couple different segments. I have one called My First Horror Movie that I've had the honor of having all these amazing people on talking about the first horror movie they watched. Ashley writes a couple segments. Didn't see that coming versus In Defense of, which you'll be seeing Sipo on very soon. And then a live once a week doing top 10s or franchise rankings or anything of that nature. So YouTube at Sledgehammer Horror. Come and hang out with us.
Awesome. Let me try to do all this at the same time. Now we have a half newbie here. Celise, you've been on this channel before, but Rocco, you have not. So welcome and welcome back at the same time. So why don't you say hello to everyone?
Me?
Ooh. Yeah, you're sweet and spooky. I'm the PA.
The war.
Hi, I'm your girl, Sweet and Spooky, Jollo Queen. Yeah, I don't know. Rocco's here.
Yes.
Rocco helps me with a bunch of my
I didn't
videos.
have the name thing ready. I apologize.
No, it is totally fine.
Collectively, Celise.
Yes. We are one
are
entity.
Celise.
We are Celise. We are sweet and spooky here. But yeah, it's so great to be here. I'm really happy to have been invited as well. It's always a lot of fun. We do a lot of streams together.
We do.
We do also live together as we are partners. We tend to be together a lot, and we stream a lot together.
Those table read things. That's such a unique thing that you guys do. That I mean,
thank you.
Every time I see something like different, because so many people do like a version of the same thing on YouTube, but I don't see people doing like table reads, at least copycats yet. But that is really unique, and it looks like it's a hell of a lot of fun and a lot of prep too. Like
it is.
It's like weeks of prep. Actually, really months of prep. Everyone takes
like about 2 months of prep.
I remember when you and Joni first told me about that idea. I was like, "God, this is dope! Like,
yes.
this is the one."
Yes, it's one of my favorite things I do on the channel.
Yeah, it's like the hardest part of filmmaking without making films. It's really it's such
true. Very true.
Such a bizarre way to go about things. But welcome. Good to have you guys. And lastly but not leastly, the King mod, if there ever was.
Yes.
Dice, say hello to everyone.
Hey, you've seen me here before, probably, maybe not, maybe just in your nightmares. I don't know. I am simply Dice rolling Doc to some, perhaps. I do
the
horror stuff. Thank you. Horror reviews, mostly. Top 10 countdowns, all that stuff. Just horror. That's it.
Yes, and another interesting series that you have is the Brain Mucus podcast, where you talk about. Well, go ahead. It's your shit. You talk about.
Still in its infancy. It's a podcast technically, but I like to do the live streams, which would be the recording process for others. No offense to anybody else who does it that way. Totally understand why. But I like to do it live so that people in the chat can throw their questions and thoughts out there as well. But so far, I've been focusing on the series within the podcast called The Horror of Mental Health. So that's horror movies and its relation to mental health of all different kinds.
And it's a nice little tie-in because I think somewhere subtly underneath everything what we're talking about today, mental health will be tied into today's subject and gore and whether or not we're desensitized and just what that means. I'll start with you, Ken. What was the first movie that you watched and thought, yeah, I don't think I can show this to everyone, and I might be a little fucked up.
I mean, I know the first movie that really fucked me up personally, and it's gonna sound really silly now, was Child's Play 2. The scene, it affected me so bad as a kid, but the scene with the doll eyes going into the technician's head, there was something about that scene as a little kid that just haunted me. Like, it really, really haunted everything. Like, I had nightmares about it for weeks. And just the idea of this human being with doll eyes being forced into its head was something that really, really scarred and affected me when I was young. The older I got, I don't know, because it seems like, you know, we all started watching horror at such young ages that it's really hard to determine when that line came of, you know, this is bad, this is fucked up. I guess probably the one that I would say made me feel the worst about liking it so much was Jason Goes to Hell. Still one of my favorite movies in that franchise, but I just remember feeling so dirty and gross during the tent sex scene when she gets ripped in half with a hole. I remember just being like, you know, as a little kid, obviously, I was like, those are boobies. Yeah. Those are ripped boobies. No. I liked them better the first time.
Together.
Yes. And I always was like, the reason that happened is because he threw the condom out the tent. Like, if he would have wore the condom, Jason would have been okay with it. So after that, I was like, I will never not have one of those in my possession ever.
Good choice.
So, yeah, 3 kids later. Where are you, Jason? I've been waiting. I just remember seeing that as a kid and being like, what the like, this is so gross and so over the top, but it's amazing. And like in the same movie, like when you have the guy that grabs Jason's heart and just starts eating it. You know, I remember as a kid, I was like, this is so disgusting, but I love it. Like, I need more of it. Like, you know, the goo pouring all over his face. And, like, I that movie, to me, that was, like, the first real, like, body horror thing I can remember watching. Because, like, even at the end, like, you have all the melting into the floor.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And, like, to me, as a kid, Jason Goes to Hell, which, like I said, still one of my favorite movies. I love Jason Goes to Hell. I adore it. I will defend it to the end of the world. But when I first watched it, I felt gross, you know, like, and then I had watched Hellraiser shortly after, and I got those feelings again of, you know, ooh, what are we doing here? Like, this is disgusting. It's gross, but it's amazing at the same time. So I'd say Jason Goes to Hell or Hellraiser is where, like, the real, what am I watching and why do I like it so much feelings came from. That would probably be the two for me that really sunk their hooks into me and pulled me into the gore, gross part of it.
Interesting. A pair of gateway drugs, if you will. Very, very, dare I say, mainstream. I think we'll all have some sort of mainstreamy sort of pick, but Team Sweet and Spooky. What do you got for us?
What was the question? I'm so sorry. Could you repeat it for me? Can I have
Very
like a
on
prompt?
brand.
So
Line.
So the first time you watched something and you knew it was gory and you didn't hate it and you actually realized that, you know, maybe this isn't for everybody. And
Okay.
I don't want to say felt embarrassed, but, you know, just had, you know, were predisposed to let people know, hey, I just watched this movie where this dude got ripped in half and then the corpse was running around and it was awesome. And then people slowly just drift away from you. And you're like, what happened?
Back out of the room.
So
I kind of have two answers to that, I think.
okay.
But I guess like gore wise for me was probably Audition from Takashi Miike. I feel like that was the one. That was one of the first like disturbing movies. I was like, I'm a big girl now. I'm watching disturbing movies. And that was one of the first ones that I watched pretty young. And I was like, after like the one scene, do you remember with the like the dog food? Or do you know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about
I
vomit.
forget that.
It was the
song,
vomit in the dog bowl.
That
Yeah.
scene.
It was so gross.
No,
but I
don't
remember
that.
like watching it and being like, I really love this movie, but like, what do I tell people? Like, you know, because I wanted to recommend it to so many people, and I was just like, what do you say? Like, I remember recommending it to my best friend Melissa, and I was like, you have to watch this movie, but like,
Don't
just
say
so
I
you know,
told
it's
you.
really gross. So like, I don't know how you're gonna feel about it. She's like, oh, okay. Like, I feel like that usually scares people away, and then you're like, well, why do you like it?
The funny thing is about like Audition, it like takes forever to get really fucked up. Like you
Yeah.
just think it's this like weird Weinstein movie for a while. I mean, and then
Yeah, that's true.
As opposed to your average Weinstein.
I don't want to watch any of those.
Yeah, and then I think the other one for me, it's not gory though, but my favorite movie of all time is Clockwork Orange. People don't consider it horror, but I feel like it has lots of horror elements.
Say that movie's not gore. I mean, it's not really gory,
Well,
but that movie is so upsetting.
It is.
And
I'm always like,
desensitized to it. Sure, it
Yeah.
falls in the theme, I guess. Sure.
I
I
would
just-
totally say that's a horror flick. Like I would.
Yeah.
I
totally
agree.
say that's
It's
horror.
more like kind of like realistic, I think, especially like the break-in scene.
Also, like Kubrick just kind of melded so many different aspects of so many different genres together so seamlessly. Like it's easier to say, oh, that's not or that is a horror movie, you know?
Yeah, that's
I think it's a horror movie,
That's the one movie
personally.
though. Whenever I tell people that's my favorite movie of all time, they're like, "Why?"
I love
Or
when-
they go like, "Really?
Are you
Are you
sure?
sure?" I'm like, yeah.
That's funny. I've seen a lot. I've seen multiple people, including my parents, say that to you.
Yes, a lot of people they don't get it.
And then they tell you theirs, and it's like, hey, Little Mermaid 2. What? 2? The straight to DVD one? Oh, okay.
So, I don't know if I necessarily have like one that made me feel embarrassed or like not embarrassed, but like made me feel uncomfortable to tell people about. But off of Ken, funny enough, I'm gonna say, and y'all are gonna make fun of me, and I don't like this movie.
I know which one.
The paintball scene in Child's Play 3. I'm a big paintballer. Like I play regularly all the time since I'm a kid. And the scene where they go out and he replaces the paintball, like the training paintball guns with the real guns, as a kid just bothered me so much. And this is gonna be like a through line for me too. It's not really a gory scene or anything, or really any. I mean, I don't like the movie really, but that scene is so good.
You can
And
stop saying that. Anyway.
no, I
That's
say
gonna
that.
get personally offended.
No, I say that
Ben doesn't
because
have
like
the cancel button with him.
no, you know what it is? Because it's like that scene just feels so petty. Like what did these kids do to you, man? Like what? And I think that's what makes the scene so effective is that it's just so upsetting, you know. And that for me made me so uncomfortable and so ick, and probably more than like a gory movie per se.
Okay. Dice?
I had to think about this when I had to actually look through my letterboxes. I'm like, let me look at my usual watch history here. But the first one, see, you gotta understand that I have so little guilt or remorse when it comes to stuff I watch. I will purposely seek things out to show people just to unsettle them sometimes. Not severely, just enough to make them go, why? But I think that the first one that made me really sit back after I watched it and go, let's try to process this a little bit. Are we all right? Are we okay? Was Reanimator.
Okay.
And I think there were a number of reasons. The whole reanimated corpses thing is not new, not even then when I first watched it to me. But I think it was really the head giving head scene.
Yeah.
that
Head
made me go,
squared.
now I don't think everybody's gonna want to watch this. I don't think this is gonna go
That
over
scene
That
was-
well.
scene is disturbing.
That was a weird scene.
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah. And every time someone watches it for the first time, especially if I recommend it, I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna have to watch that. I can explain.
That's funny. And you showed me that movie. I appreciate that.
And we're not done yet, man.
So oddly enough, my the first movie I watched that I knew something was wrong. Again, we've all watched horror movies at a relatively early age. When I watched Return of the Living Dead, and the woman on the half woman on the table was topless, and like Ken said, boobies plus,
Rocking movies.
and I just didn't know how to process that. I remember, when you're a kid, you break VHSs and you know what the time code is on certain DVDs, and I knew where that part of the movie was, but I just couldn't figure out. To this day, I didn't know if I was turned on by it or because there's nothing really to
I get it.
penetrate it. I appreciate it, Ken.
No, I get it, man.
There's nothing but teeth. It's
Yeah, there's a long amount of death on that half a body there, and just dripping spinal fluid, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, let's watch the movie, and when that part comes, I'm just gonna try to stay as quiet as humanly possible, because this is one of my favorite parts, even though
It shouldn't be.
yeah. Yeah, and I literally can't explain like why. I don't know.
he said Linnea Quigley. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zombie boobs.
Yeah, you can have your prosthetic, whatever it was.
Vagine cover.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Now you
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
watch. You gotta go back,
Wow.
zoom in.
It's like a little fun trivia fact.
Linnea Quigley shaved and shot that fully nude, and then producers were like, "No, we need to cover that." So they made a prosthetic little Quigley to put over her cooch, and it's quite bizarre when you know. And the more that they make it in high def and 4K, the more it's like, oh, yep, there it is. There's that.
Oh my god, I need to rewatch
I can see the
it.
edges.
That's so funny.
Really chastising a girl for shaving. What a world
Yeah,
we
what
live
is
in.
that? Come on.
Yeah, and it
Talk
just
about-
looks worse. And she's still shaved. Like when you put the prosthetic on, I think the one moment where you could tell, not that I know or have checked, is when she's like walking down the street by herself and
Post zombification.
towards the police or something. And
I
Now
think
I'm
it
gonna
was
go back and
towards
rewatch it right up, and don't. It's for science,
Timestamps.
guys. For
Ken's
science.
gonna be
I need a
taking
close-up of
notes.
the Vagine
Research.
right now.
research.
I need
I
to
think
know
she was-
what fabric they were using for
Right.
Fabric. Ooh.
I'm studying
Adhesive.
effects.
Zoom in. Enhance. Enhance.
Has gore escalated for anybody? Does it add something to a movie? To you all of you. I'll start with Ken again. Have you progressed since seeing toys penetrate somebody's face?
I think that it's still. I hate to say that I'm not desensitized, because I think we all, to a certain point, definitely are. But there are still times. I mean, I just went and watched Saw X last year, and the leg scene still really got me. Like, oh god damn it, hurry up, stop it.
That
knock it
scene
off.
got me.
Yeah, the
The
bone
razor wire on the leg.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
not
I'm
enjoy
dying.
it. I was
I'm
not
dying. I'm
having
tapping
fun
out.
during that moment.
I will simply cease to exist.
This hurts. All right, it's been nice.
Yeah. So stuff like that, I think that there will always be a way to make me squirm a little bit. I'm trying to think. There was something else recently that we just watched that I was like, okay, that can stop any fucking minute now. But I think that the gore part of things, it can really have a big impact as long as it's done for parts of the story. And Saw is a really good example of that. Like the human, like the rat, Saw 3, very hard to watch, but it's also a lot of emotion in that scene. You know, watching Jeff look at Tim Young, you know, and then actually trying to help him after seeing what he's gone through. You know, his head get twisted, and so it does have a great part of the story. Where it starts to lack for me is, again, I do love the Terrifier movie. I did like Terrifier 2. I thought it was a little too long. And points like the bedroom scene could have been shaved down a little bit. It gets to the point to where you're not even like grossed out or shocked. It doesn't have shock value because it's just gone on for way too long. And you're just like, the more I was honestly more grossed out by the dead possum scene because it was so quick and so graphic and so gory that it was just like, oh, that was fucking gross. That was so and I could imagine the smell, you know, like that to me was way worse. And you get like the bedroom scene that's like, it's been going on for so long that, you know, I get it, guys. Let's go back to telling the story of this magic knife and woman that lives in water for 15 minutes and all the cool stuff that happened at the end of Terrifier 2 that I really liked.
Yeah, I don't know if Damien Leone gets credit for like wanting you to just feel emotionally exhausted for a scene like that, because my immediate comparison would be the tunnel scene from Irreversible, which
oh my god, I was just thinking of that. We're in sync.
Shut it off. Shut it off.
I know, it's
never finished that movie.
It feels longer than what it is, and it's already long.
Yeah, and the fact that the camera's just always moving, and then like, oh well, for this scene we're just going to put the camera on the floor and, you know, just let everything play out for 15 minutes, and it's just like, oh my god, all right, I get the point. I know what's happening. Please stop.
That scene really made me sick.
That's my trigger. I can't do that.
SA?
Like, I can't watch those things. It's happened to too many people that I care about. It's happened to too many people that I'm in love with, and I can't stomach it. You might as well murder someone at that point. I shut the movie off. I've never seen how that movie ends. I don't know. It got to the point where I was like, this is too much. I left the room. I could still hear it, and I was like, I'm done. Shut this shit off. I was irritated. I was angry. To me, that to me is just like, we're doing this just like you said, to make you uncomfortable. There's nothing with the story, nothing with any furthering of any type of art. This is just, how can we make people feel as bad as we can possibly make them feel? And that's not why I want to watch a movie. I don't want to watch it. Like, you can do, I hate to say it like this because I sound like such a fucking nasty weirdo. You can do an SA scene tastefully. You know, getting dragged in a room and a door getting shut. You know what's happening. You don't have to see it. A woman doesn't have to be humiliated on camera. You know, you could do these things to where you're still uncomfortable. You know what's happening. You don't have to show it for 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah, they can allude to it.
Yeah. I think SA is a great example of maybe like an argument against desensitization, right? Because that was huge during the like exploitation horror era, right? In like the 70s. I Spit on Your Grave. Yeah, all those
fucking House on the Lift.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And like, it's really one of the things that I think, I'm not going to say this like, you know, don't put it on my gravestone, but like, I think people almost have become more passionate about not liking it since that era. So in a way, it's almost, I think there's aspects where some things we become not desensitized to per se, but like we don't feel as strongly about, maybe like just over the top gore with no emotional beat versus something like SA, which there really is no way not to have an emotional beat. You know,
I agree.
It's just too real. It's happened to too many people we know. It's, you know, so for me personally, I always look at SA and I go, oh, maybe that's an aspect of film where, you know, we're kind of the opposite of desensitized, where we become not more aware of it. Obviously, we've always been aware of it, but, you know, where we're like, maybe we don't need to see that as much as people 30, 40 years ago thought, you know, because people really thought that shit was, I guess, like intense or stylish back in the day. And
well, yeah,
I think it's corny. I think it's played out.
the phrase used to be sex sells, and
Yeah.
now with all these producers, it seems like, I don't know, at least half of them
Hollywood.
something. You know,
And
you
the good
don't
thing is
need
we've also gotten a lot more sensitive to, not just women but men that are humiliated doing this on camera.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how many stories have we heard of women showing up to sets and then being like, "Oh, well, guess what? We know it wasn't in the script, but now we wrote that you're going to have a 5-minute sex scene completely nude with this guy,
Yeah.
and it's this or your job, and it's like we've gotten past that type of stuff now, and which we should, Why am I blanking on her name? She played Sienna in
Lauren
Terrifier.
Rivera.
She had a big thing about it, about how that type of shit used to happen. She's had that happen to her, and she's walked off sets for it, And
she
somebody attacked her on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Like, Terrifier 2 was great, but there was no nudity, and she was like, "There's a dick. Like, why don't you just say what's really on your mind right now?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just come out and say what you really want to say right now? Like, and that was true, Like, in order for a slasher movie to be good, I need to see the lead actress naked. That's the mind frame that a lot of people are in.
Plus, if anything, it goes against the trope. Like, the final girl doesn't get naked, so
Exactly.
Halloween, the
Yeah.
first one.
Exactly.
what?
I mean, realistically.
I just remember her being like, "Look, there's a dick in it." Like,
Yeah, I remember
don't
that.
sit here, tell me there's no.
I think I
nudity.
retweeted that.
Do what?
I think I retweeted that.
Oh, I think I did too, because it was like, good for you. Like, good for you for calling this guy out
Yeah.
for being a fucking pig.
Yeah, Lauren can hold her own on X, formerly known
Love it.
as Twitter.
Love
She's
it.
great.
Yeah.
She also can literally kick everyone's ass.
For
in the
sure.
The sweet and spooky set.
Sweet
Yeah.
and
Forgot
spooky
the question
NPS.
again.
I did. You go first. Oh, okay, good. I'm not alone.
We went
forgot
on
the
we went on a
question.
tangent there. How do we start there?
Maybe we're both.
We have too
bimbos.
many drinks here.
Yeah, we went off. I think we all went off on one.
That's my
so
bad.
Ken was talking about
passion.
What was it?
Terrifier.
Terrifier. The bedroom scene being too much.
Yeah. Okay. I remember. Yeah.
Does it have? Well, is it necessary to be a part of the story?
Is it necessary? Like, are they gonna hold a gun to your head in the writers' room? No.
For gore to be a part of the story.
To be effective, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't think necessarily, right?
Oh.
I think for it to be effective, yes, 100%. And a lot of the torture porn people are going to be on our asses for this, but it's not really like I personally think when you say the desensitizing aspect of it, like realistically, it's just because I say this with a grain of salt, but I think the reason we're desensitized is because there's no emotional connection, right? You can't put yourself in that place because it's so commonplace per se, right? Like when you watch, I mean, for me, anytime I watch any of those like really gory movies from the 2000s, those people are all like cartoon characters. I can't put myself in those.
That's true. Eli Roth comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly. I do not feel a
Roth
shred of
comes-
empathy. One, because of the way he wrote the characters of all being assholes, but two,
Eli
because
Roth can't write characters.
no, Eli Roth cannot
written
write.
characters.
No, he cannot write a character that acts or behaves like a human
No.
being. He's like an alien. If
Like
an
a
alien,
hostel, like
I felt nothing, and it was a gross movie,
like I
and I
was
felt
like,
nothing.
okay.
And I think really it is the emotional aspect.
I think so too.
Oh my god, we were talking about this recently. Like, actually, funny enough, before you mentioned it, we were just talking about this about a movie, and I forget what movie it was.
Was it Irreversible?
No, that was that.
What the fuck is that?
That's
Is that real?
irreversible in French.
That's French.
Oh. No, Rocco's never seen it.
No, I've never seen Irreversible.
Oh.
I don't care to either, and I don't want to sound like
It's part of because
Like-
I only watched it once and I don't think I want to watch it again.
If you do ever end up watching it, watch the straight cut, because the movie plays backwards. The original, the straight cut, the 2020 edition, it starts with the
Oh, that's
ending,
interesting.
and I think it's a better view. in my opinion. I'm not saying better, like, ooh,
Yeah.
you're gonna enjoy yourself.
So it's interesting. Somebody, I don't know if you want to highlight that. Somebody in the chat just said something about it, like real life, and being a child of the internet. I'm sure, like everybody our age has accidentally seen some kind of real video of some real life atrocities.
Yeah, I agree with
and
that.
they're always effective because like you're like, oh, that's real. Like, and I think the medium of film tends to put that block of reality, and you kind of automatically take yourself out if there's not an emotional beat. But when you see real life stuff, you're like, man, that's heavy. Like, that is real, you know?
Yeah. I think like with slashers, I don't really feel like anything. Like
Exactly,
there's like a lot of
100%.
like I don't know why. I just feel disconnected from it. But if it's like a stalker movie or something that I can actually see this happening to me, then I feel differently.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of being able to empathize with the character, you know?
Yeah.
That's the problem, you know?
Yeah, slashers are just traditionally poorly written characters. If you could see yourself in a character, I'm assuming it would be a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
Like X is a slasher. It's quite well written. I
agree.
And I think X is I find X to be effective because of how much I relate to the characters per se. You know, like like Pearl herself, like not Pearl the movie, because if anybody knows me, you know I mess with Pearl. That's my girl right there. That is gender euphoric for me right there. But like Pearl, like in X as a villain, like I feel for her, but I'm not like afraid of her per se.
Right.
You know, I mean,
like
I don't feel like necessarily scared of Pearl, you know, but like I feel scared for the people that she's victimizing because I understand their personal, you know, desires and interests and
one of the better kill scenes too. I mean, if I hear "Don't Fear the Reaper" one more time in a movie, I'm gonna stab myself.
Yeah.
With the blood on the headlights. Oh, beauty! Just
great scene.
Incredible scene.
Don't even get me started about those movies.
Sean, €10 super chat. Thank you. After watching Terrifier 2-3 times, I can watch anything as long as they're a good story and character arc. I can forgive excessive gore. That word is my limit. I cannot watch that word again in any movie. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
100%
agree. 100% agree. That's the only thing that's worse than that to me is when people send me real life shit. I've told people thousands of times, like, dude, I just sent you a video, check it out. And it's the person in that school that got shot. And I'm like, why I don't want to see.
What kind of people are sending this shit?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like it's like when it's real life, even if it's something that is not as crazy as what you've seen in a movie, it's so much worse. I'm not gonna say like specific examples, but everybody who's been on Twitter, you've seen some messed up shit before, and you've seen some real life like war stuff or something, and you're like, oh man, that's just too much. And
where I feel like I was really lucky and very, very blessed was, my parents owned a video store, and my mom sat me down at a very young age and was like, listen, we're going to watch these movies, but you need to understand that this isn't real. This is a fantasy. This is fiction. These people aren't really getting hurt. These people aren't really dying. That is real. You cannot come back from that. We had a long discussion about horror movies and how it's not real. And I really feel like that helped me as a
responsibility.
kid.
That's such a weird thing from a parent.
Yeah,
I know.
My aunt did that, actually. Funny enough, I got into horror because of my aunt, and she like started me at like 4 years old, and she did a very similar thing.
I didn't have that, but I had neglectful parents. So what are you gonna do?
Hey, my ears.
Amen to that. I did my kids. I sat my kids down and look. If you want to watch this, we'll watch it, but you need to understand you can't hurt people. These type of things. They're fun when you're doing them, when you're making the movie, but in the movie they're not real. Nobody's really getting hurt. These are the type of things that I want you to understand, so you don't go out there in the real world and think these are the type of things that are happening. You can go and do these things, or you can run in front of a car because you've seen it in a movie. Like we all the kids that lit their house on fire and died because they watched Beavis and Butthead and didn't get the proper education about what can happen and what can't. So, it's just that any type of medium, whether it's video games or movies, as long as you have the education to go along with it, you got to teach your kids. Don't put a tablet in front of their face and then just be like, figure it out.
I turned the family thing off, so you're all set. Run
Hello.
Dice, when was the first time that you thought that maybe you were, or have you had a moment where, when it came to gore or what other people would consider something that was desensitized, when did you, if so, you notice that, I'm into some stuff that is a little next level?
I can't say that I've really got into stuff that would be extreme. I've dipped my toe into some of that. Obviously, there's some stuff that's more mainstream, like Terrifier 2, that would be quite distasteful to a lot of people. But I think, oddly enough, something that I've always kept in the back of my mind, subconsciously, is my parents' limitations when it comes to movies. I don't have too many limitations. I don't like certain things, obviously, that have been said already. But I will watch it with the perspective of, I'm experiencing this from an analytical point of view, as well as a viewer. But like my mom has certain limitations, especially when it comes to stuff that I might bring to family movie night. She refuses
Family
to watch...
movie night.
Yeah, family movie night. Hey, I like to bring the experience to the family. Let's share.
An intense family night.
I love that.
It's gonna be great. Come on.
This
come
is
on,
called Cannibal Holocaust. Everybody
Everybody sit down. We've got spaghetti. Okay. But stuff like, is a child in danger, or does the child die?
No.
That's a pretty solid but sometimes flexible no for my mom. She watched Pet Sematary once. That was it. Stuff like that. Pets, the dog, the cat.
Why? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dice. Why do you think that's a thing? Why do you think that we're so protective of fictional pets and fictional children?
Because
why are they so taboo?
They represent a certain level of innocence, and we want to protect that.
Yeah.
Whether we feel that in ourselves, or like, you have kids, you have pets, you have brothers, sisters.
They're just babies.
I
Yeah,
have
you don't want
kids,
to say
and that's
bad.
why I love to live vicariously through watching them die. And I think about the gas money I save from going to wrestling meets, the money I save from dance classes, like all these things. And
The tuition.
he's like, no, but he really should have been like, yo.
Just keeps rewatching the scene with Gage getting hit by a truck over and over.
Right.
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Of like, I think there's an aspect of reality, especially if you're a parent. I mean, I don't know about that personally, but I'm sure of like seeing
We're cat parents.
Yeah, exactly. Of seeing every time we see an animal die on screen,
We
it's
hate
like the
it.
end of our lives. But like, there's an aspect of like, I think anybody can empathize with that, because it's like, oh yeah, everybody's had a pet, or every parent obviously has a child.
Yeah.
So you can directly relate to that feeling,
But
Yeah.
why are we so much more empathetic towards animals and children, but not humans? Like, it's
children
humans
not
are
being
shit.
humans. Well, I think it's the same thing of like, you see a small child as your kid versus just some adult as your kid. If it's the lead character's sister, you might go, oh, that reminds me of my relationship with my sister, but maybe not so much as if it's the lead character's child.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I
weird.
Yeah,
think
like
it's-
I'm also very protective of pregnant women on screen. I'm
Yes,
so
exactly.
nervous.
And
I'm
as
like,
someone who's
"Please
never
don't
been a
touch her,
pregnant
she's
woman."
pregnant!" Like,
But like even with cats, right? Like, and I think this is kind of our silly categorizing monkey brains. But like you see an animal and you go, "Huh, pet." Oh. You know, like that's how I think. I automatically see a cat and I go,
I
"Lev."
think you have it the other way around.
Well,
Rocco don't like animal dying.
I am so
King Kong.
every once in a while, like I'll see an animal die on screen and I just get so upset. And I'm like, I equally care as much about the human, but why is this bothering me so much? You know?
Yeah.
And that's the only hypothesis I can throw into the ring.
Yeah.
So.
I could give something of an example, a semi-recent example. I think when it comes to me specifically, I've said my mom really does not like. I mean, she won't always flat out refuse to watch movies where a kid or an animal gets hurt or worse, but often she will prefer not to. I don't have too much in the way of limitations that way. I can get a little bit affected at times, like Gage's death. Yeah, that's very sad to me. All the same, even though I've seen it several times at this point, it's very sad. But another thing that I think happened at the right or
Here it
maybe
comes.
wrong time, I'm not sure, was when I first watched Smile. It was either just a few
I love
months or like a year ago. I lost my cat. So there's a scene in that movie.
Yeah.
I think we're relatively safe to kind of sort of.
Did you
spoil
bury
it.
a train instead?
Yeah. If only. But when it wasn't even I knew what was coming at about the same time that everybody else did. I think at that point, he pulls the cat out. She's holding it. I'm like,
That scene was intense.
It was.
yeah.
But also, I think that's like a great example of like that scene was just so. Imagine being that child or being that person,
Instant
like,
trauma.
and also the the volatile relationship.
her-
She's with family, and like everybody's staring at her like she's got.
It's insane.
I don't know, like she's
No
a
one
zombie or
goes to help
something.
her. They're just like,
She
She's
falls right through a
insane.
glass table.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh shit, my drink was on that table."
Can you get your dead cat out of my kid's birthday party?
Yeah, she was like, not like, why would my sister do this? But like, oh, what a dick thing to do.
yeah.
I hate. Oh, another one,
Kids would be
sis.
like,
Come on.
So where the fuck's my train?
Yeah.
Bullshit. I've been
Yeah,
pulling
the
the
kid-
cat down the track. It doesn't
Mostly
go on its
unaffected.
own.
Oh, the kid mostly unaffected. Everybody else just.
Cool,
But no,
cool prank and all.
in response to that, my mom passed away, and the next day, Ashley was trying to cheer me up, and we were like, let's go out to the movies, and we went and saw Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. And it got to the scene of him and his mom in the hospital. I was like, I can't fucking do this. Like, I cannot. I got up and walked out. I was like, I'll wait. I told Ashley, text me when this shit's done. I can't be in here for this part right now. So when a wound is that fresh, I think it really does, affect your viewing of certain movies, because especially, and I'm not saying things about people that don't analyze and review and critique movies. Everybody can put themselves into a film, but just by nature, because of what we do, to make money and as a passion, we overanalyze movies a lot, and we put ourselves in every single aspect of the movie because we're tearing apart every single aspect. So when you're watching these type of movies and you're getting those type of moments where you're in the movie and you just lost a family member, you just lost a pet, you just lost, whatever, and that happens on the screen, it really affects you on a deeper level. I had to walk out of Creed 3 because I was crying so hard, I thought I was disrupting other people's viewing experience. When Creed was sitting there talking to his mom on the bed, and it was so hard for me. My mom was genuinely my best friend. Me and my mom did everything together. She lived down the road from me. I went and did everything for her, and then I just get a phone call one day that she's gone. So anything like that now, I don't think that's something I'll ever get desensitized to, is someone losing their mother in a movie. That's something that every time I see it, I'm taken out. I'm done. That's a wrap. So it doesn't have to be the gore that we're so desensitized to or anything like that. But when I see something that's just genuinely heartbreaking for a family, it is hard to be desensitized to that and not, even my wife, who is, I don't mean this in a mean, insulting way, Ashley doesn't cry at anything. Nothing. Like when it comes to movies, she's cold as ice. You know, she is. Nothing gets her. Ghostbusters Afterlife. We watched that a couple months after we lost her father. You know, and there's a lot of daughter-father trauma throughout that movie that gets wrapped up at the end. And I saw my wife cry harder than I've probably ever seen her cry during that movie, which made me cry. You know, like don't cry. You look fat when you cry. Did that make you smile? I don't know. You know, like shit like that. So, you know, I just those are the type of things I don't think it's possible for me as an empath to ever get any type of desensitization to.
Yeah, it takes a lot for me to get choked up for movies, but both Emily and I need to stress this. I've seen the 1985 Cher movie Mask numerous times. Me and the missus are watching it, and it gets to the part where, well, at the end where Cher's putting the pins back on the map. And both of us, like, just Niagara Falls, just like, why? I knew this was coming. I like, this is the 5th time watching this. And
why are you crying? I don't know. Why are you crying?
The funny thing was we couldn't look at each other because we were both crying. We were just both like, don't look at me. I won't look at you.
That's what I want in my life. Right there. That's what, actually, if you're watching this, that's what I want in my life. Because here's what happens.
Cry more.
Right? I'll be
You want to go to Europe?
And, like, the tears will start coming. And this is what Ashley does. Are you crying?
Celeste does that to me sometimes. I'm not gonna hold you.
Sometimes,
Crying,
yeah.
aren't you?
Because
I know
you
you're
don't really
crying.
cry very much.
You know, it's funny to Ken's point. So I was going to a point where anybody on the channel you might know, I'm a musician. And as an artist, we're crazy, right? We go through these, and you guys know, making videos and making art in your way. You go through these points where you feel these moments of like creative downturns, right? And those are dreadful. They're the worst. And every once in a while you go through a really bad one. So I was watching a movie that everyone else would probably say is not very good, which was Bohemian Rhapsody. And by all
that one made me cry too.
by all, like, probably not that great of a movie, but we saw it in the theaters, and I was bawling my eyes out. I'm like, he really loves his art so much, and he doesn't want it to go. And I'm like, I was like crying because it was like hitting me in the moment. And like, I think it's one of those things where like sometimes what is effective in a film, and maybe this is like a selfish thing that we tend to do, an individualist thing, but sometimes you need that context to really empathize with a certain story beat.
And we all bring something different, regardless of
Exactly.
what the intent is.
Exactly.
What we're bringing to the story is always different. Joshua, $5 super chat. Thank you. Great show. Thank you.
Yeah, Josh.
I feel like it depends on the context of the kill and what/who is doing it. Alex and Jaws is easier to watch than like the kid in the Blob.
Yeah.
Right, and I was just gonna say it really depends on the Dr. Sleep scene is so hard to watch. You know,
Oh yeah, my mom did not
Baseball
like that.
kid.
Actually,
The
nobody.
kid.
We watched that as a family for the first time. And
Family night.
Nice
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
family
I
Family
watch.
didn't get that one. That was not me. Not my fault. Okay, I did Pumpkinhead. But we were watching that, and we were all sitting in this room, facing the TV, of course. And when that comes up, I'm like, oh no. I hadn't even really heard about it too much, but I
Oh, no.
figure out where it was going. I'm like, oh shit. So I'm looking over at everybody, and it's quiet.
Yeah, that's a gnarly scene. You know, is it gonna hurt? I hope so. You know, like that's rough. Like that's a rough scene to digest. And Alex Kittner in Jaws. You know, it's not okay. It's a kid dying, so it sucks, obviously, but it's not.
It's more shocking.
Yeah, it's not as bad because you don't get him crying and screaming and begging you to stop. And
It's
you know,
over
just
in like
quick-
a few seconds.
Yeah, it's an in and out thing. So I get how there's different layers of what can be rough in the same type of thing. Not every kid's death is created equal in a film.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a death. I just thought of this, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before. The black phone. Not even the deaths. Forget the deaths. When
The spanking
Gwenny's
scene.
being beaten,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reason why I hesitated to show that to my family. It's a great movie. I love that movie. It's fantastic. And I knew that my parents would like it, and dare I say, even my brother. But, without saying entirely too much, both my parents grew up with abusive fathers. So I was like, can I do this? Can I actually show this to them? Will it be all right? Because this is rough. Just the way she acted it is rough.
Well, and she said we met her and at Horror Hound. We were talking to her about that scene, and she was like, that was probably one of the best days on set because of how real it was, but how comforting everybody was in between takes, letting her know that she's doing a great job, knowing she's okay. She was like, we had a lot of people there that day that were really, really, it was very hands-on. Everybody was making sure we were okay because it was such a heavy scene that they had a lot of people on set there to be like a cheer up type of day, because they knew what they were going to be doing that
Bring
day.
the puppies on set.
Yeah, like it's just, and to ask so much out of, more so now than ever, we're getting these movies like The Black Phone, Megan, these movies that are carried by children throughout, and they're heavier than they've ever been. You could go back to Child's Play and you look at Alex Vincent wasn't really the best actor in the first Child's Play, but the part where he's in the mental hospital and he starts crying and he slides down the door, like that's a real sad fucking scene. Like to go as a parent to go back and watch, like, what if that's my kid and I'm not there, the person that's supposed to be there to protect them, and I'm nowhere around because they've been taken away from me and they just are giving up essentially, crying like I'm scared, I don't know what to do. Like those definitely are hard scenes still to, as a 38-year-old guy, like those are very hard to watch.
Yeah.
So I don't think that desensitization is I don't think it could ever be all the way. I mean, even being scared. I watched The Dark and the Wicked in 2020. That movie scared me. Like there's no gore, there's no jump scares. It's just an hour and 40 minutes of pure anxiety and tension.
Lots
Brian
of dread.
Bertino. Yeah, just dread throughout the whole movie. And you're begging, please someone tell a joke. Please do a jump scare. End this tension. And nothing. It's just Brian Bertino, the same guy that did the first Strangers movie, is who did The Dark and the Wicked. And he knows how to create tension. He knows how to create this atmosphere of anxiety. And again, had recently just lost my mom, so that might be another reason why that movie was so impactful to me at the time. But man, I never thought a movie could scare me again until I saw The Dark and the Wicked. This scared the shit out of me. It made me feel extremely uncomfortable. And we watched it like 2 in the afternoon. And I was like, open the blinds, it's fine.
Turn on all the lights, it's fine.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling about stuff that, when it comes to horror films, the effects usually get a lot of love from the community. I get a little weirded out when people give that same credit and love towards stuff that is based on real life. Like when people went gaga about that Dahmer series on Netflix, like, how do we separate, Friday the 13th, a sleeping bag into a tree from Jeffrey
Real.
Dahmer putting somebody in a garbage can and filling it with acid? Why can't people differentiate and, treat them as like this actually happened? Like, are we fucked up to be into fictional horror? Because some people can't tell the difference. It's a film. It's presented in the same fashion. So what really is the difference other than this actually happened and is a dramatized version of it?
Who's the kid that played Evan Peters? Is that his name?
Yes, Evan Peters.
You had Evan Peters playing Dahmer, who is he's a sexy guy. He's a good looking dude. He's your boy next door type of guy. You had High School Musical, Zac
Efron.
Zac Efron, who's gotten
Don't
much
ask me
better
how I know.
age, I might add.
Love Zac Efron.
He played what's his name? Hacksaw.
Ted Bundy.
Bundy. So you have
Oh, right. Yeah.
you have these guys that are very, very sexy, very good looking, much like Ted Bundy. A lot of people didn't want to hate Ted Bundy. You had women trying to marry him while he was in prison for murdering women because of how good looking he was. So you get these sexy guys to play these roles, and people get to the point to where it's only this guy's hot, so I love this. They don't take into effect this is real. What Bundy did to these women was very real. What Dahmer did to these men were very, very real.
Honestly, not even men, boys.
Yeah, boys was very real. What Freddy Krueger did was created by a man and never really happened. He never dragged Johnny Depp into a waterbed and made blood spew out of it. It didn't happen. That's not real.
Yeah.
And you had kids dressing up as Jeffrey Dahmer for Halloween.
Yeah.
The guy ruined lives. You see that woman crying and screaming in the courtroom because of what happened to her brother. Then you have some kid walking down the street with Jeffrey Dahmer glasses and the jacket, and I'm gonna show you a movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like,
something that I don't really have to remind myself of this, but I always keep it in mind when the subject like this comes up is, and it shouldn't have to be just this. It's just a stark, shocking, and cold kind of realization of the parents of the boys who were killed by Dahmer are still alive.
Right.
You can talk to them right now.
Imagine them.
But here's the next Netflix series.
Well, just imagine a kid dressed like Dahmer going to their house for Halloween. You answer the door, and the guy that murdered your son, someone's dressed up as him and idolizing him on your front porch. And I don't think that those, making shows like that is inherently bad. I don't. I think that as long as they're portrayed the right way, it's showing it's a cautionary tale. Evil has a way of looking beautiful. In the stories, Lucifer was the most beautiful angel, and then he fell to become Satan. It's not like evil. It looks like, the goat from Chronicles of Narnia. That's not
James McAvoy.
How it goes.
It is.
James McAvoy. Beautiful.
Evil doesn't always look like James McAvoy.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that you have to be. It comes back to education. This is real. That really happened, and that really affected the lives of human beings. John Wayne Gacy, the inspiration for Pennywise. Dressed up like a clown. He was beautiful. Everybody loved him. He was great in his community. And he had boys that he had raped and killed under his floorboards for years. And it's just, they can be cautionary tales. You don't have to idolize the person that's doing it, but you can understand that those are real monsters. Monsters are not Candyman. Monsters are not, these things you see on screen or you hear about in stories. They're the people that do these things in real lives that these stories are based on.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of I don't
separation.
know. Yeah, separation. Like, and when people like just kind of pair them together, it's like it's not really. No, this is not like Jason Voorhees. This person actually existed, is a piece of shit. And then you have this life imitating art, imitating life thing where like there was these two teenage kids who filmed. They documented everything like the smart idiots that they are. They wanted to replicate Scream and whatever they ended up murdering one of the girls from the high school that one of the guys was interested in, and apparently they looked up to Scream and the Columbine kids. So it's like those two aren't. They're not from the same universe. Like you gotta. I don't know. Like I certainly don't have the answer. I like how do you get people to understand that this?
What you just described is bologna and steak. Yeah, I guess they're both meat, but they're nothing close to each other. Like if you want to paint with broad strokes in a way to, just like when Mortal Kombat came out. I remember when Mortal fucking Kombat, what you play now is you're like, what the fuck? This is lame.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Parents were freaking out. Like they were protesting in front of our local arcade, Aladdin's Palace. You had parents out there protesting because they had blood in a video game. People will always try to find an excuse to why people make the decisions they make. They will go to any length except for mental health. It is never about the mental health. It is about the video games. It is about the movies. It is about the TV shows. It's not about parenting. It's not about a mental health crisis and people not getting checked out, because we're still really in a point where it's like, rub some fucking dirt on it. You'll be fine. Man up. Don't be a bitch. We're still in that in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So mental health is still a taboo thing that it shouldn't be. So rather than taking work on mental health and trying to figure out what's wrong with a person and getting them properly medicated because of a chemical imbalance, we put it on, they wanted to be like Scream. No, they wanted to be like Scream because there was something wrong here and they couldn't figure out that
Right.
If it wouldn't have been Scream, it would have been something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where really, to me personally, that's where it boils down to. If we have a big mental health crisis in this country, and the availability to get the things to make you be able to do these things is a lot easier than in other countries. That's why it's such a hard thing to get to put, like you said, to put a containment on, because we'll always have that. You have a mental health issue, that'll be $600 a month plus your insurance.
Yeah. The other thing about it is they got to stop. Like, they've tried to a certain degree. They're not doing good enough. Stop letting us know, because they're making these murderers larger than life. I can't give you a single name of a victim from Columbine. I know the two fuckfaces names. That should not be the case.
No.
Now I think some people sometimes are purposely trying to give more attention and tribute, perhaps be respectful, and not forget the people who were victims. Like, I forget her name, and I do apologize, but there was a trans girl who was murdered. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter who say, I refuse to say the name, show the face of the person who killed her. So here she is, and here's what you can do to help. So I'm glad to see that, but there is still this idolization of killers. And maybe it's just because of the whole, it's the bad boy, but to the extreme.
It sells.
Yeah, and it sells, yeah. And for some reason, for some people, that is attractive. Charles Manson got married while he was in prison.
Oh, yeah. That happens to
He
a
was
lot
busted.
of people.
He was so busted.
I mean, yeah, obviously that's not
This
the
is
main.
beyond
That's not the main issue with Charles Manson, but
Yeah,
he's an ugly man.
absolutely wild.
If he
No.
looked like Ryan Gosling, I mean, I'd throw the blocks to him. Fuck it.
But it's just that's what it boils down to. Is I can't remember what it was on, but they were talking about how no one remembers the victims; they only remember me. I'll be the one that's remembered here, not you. So it's like that's the truth.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth too. Yeah.
And people talk about how the world's gotten worse. The world's gotten worse. It hasn't. We've had Rodney King. We've had the Holocaust. We've had all these things, but we didn't have the availability to see everything that happens all the time at the palm of our hands like we do now. These disgusting, despicable things have always been happening. There's just a way for us to document every single story now. And I think we've become more desensitized to real life than we have movies. Now it's like, another school shooting. Okay.
Yeah, there's that.
That sucks.
I think it's also the presentation, right? I think there's kind of, listen, this is not a hot take. Americans have very poor, not just Americans, but since we are, I'll say Americans,
right.
Have very poor object permanence, right? Like we see, we read, it's easy to, I mean, even when you look at history, right? And I'm not going to go too deep into it, but like you look at, you can document wars and you can read about them and they seem crazy and you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. But like you're reading about it, and obviously on an intellectual level, you're supposed to go, "Oh wow, that was something that happened. That's really terrible." But I don't think a lot of people really can grasp, or once again to bring it back to this, I don't think a lot of people really can empathize unless they see something extreme. I think the whole point is you're supposed to read something and go, "That was terrible. That is something that we as a people should not do," et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And understand the gravity of that without having to see it on Twitter or,
We see it with 9/11, where I remember like being a New Yorker, like we were shook. Like
we saw it in my backyard.
Yeah, you didn't know what was happening. Every second felt like an hour. Just between one plane, another plane, one building falling, and there was that brief moment of period where you're like, wow, I wonder if only one building is going to be left. That would be really, really odd. And that ended up not being the case. But like everything happened just like so quickly, yet it still felt like its own private year. That whole day felt like its own thing. And when people just like watch YouTube videos on it, it's like you really aren't getting it. And dare I say it might be worse than like when our grandparents would tell us about when JFK was shot or something, because like it was just, there was so much happening on that day. It wasn't just one person, it was multiple locations, and you didn't know what was happening next, and what was intended, what wasn't intended. It was like really, really freaky.
I can't even remember exactly how old I was at that point. I'm sure if I did the math real quick, I could. But
please don't say.
Okay, I was.
You were.
I won't say either. I was cognizant though.
Yeah, I know. I was. I remember it. Like I still remember that day when it happened because it was on the news, of course. And my parents always watch the news in the morning, and I just remember certain things vaguely seeing, one tower at least with the smoke and everything. I thought because of how small I was, I thought it was in my state. So I was looking out the window trying to see the smoke, and I didn't, of course. But I just remember not understanding what the deal was, why it had such significance, but knowing that it had a tremendous weight to it, and it was horrible. And my parents, who, once again, nowhere near the state, went, we're not going to go to work today. We got to stay home.
That was a point in time where I was high as fuck.
That just took me out.
And I was sad. I was real sad, but you think about it now, and that was a point where in that moment, for that next however long it was, it didn't matter if you were gay, straight, black, white, everybody was united at that moment. We didn't have, like we have today, we have stupid fucking bigots that want to come and attack people for their beliefs, or stupid fucking bigots that want to come and attack someone because of their sexuality or their gender, or you have stupid fucking bigots that want to come and attack somebody because of how they look or who they're in love with. And they will never stop being these pathetic fucking people. And there are so many more things in this world that you could put your fucking hate on than who someone's in love with, or how someone was born, or what religion they practice, or what skin color they have. The things that they can't help in their lives, and those are the things that you still want to attack today. There's so many other big things that are happening. Shows what type of really pathetic person you are, not the people around you. So you had that moment back then where everybody was united in a love of who we were, and an attack on a bigger evil. And that's now become a fact of, I want to attack these people because I don't like it and I don't understand it, and I'm a small-minded fucking idiot.
But to live rent-free in someone's life by just existing is amazing. I love it.
Yeah,
it's great. I thrive, darling. I thrive. Anyway.
Here's your pretentious glass of wine.
Ooh. Yes, get the wine, darling. Get the wine. Ooh.
You need it.
Joshua, I didn't forget. I apologize. $5 super chat. Thank you. By the way, I worked on all the kills for Terrifier 2. Wow.
Oh, badass, dude.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah, Josh.
That bed must have been quite a day. For me, they're fine. Yet hearing the mom in Hereditary sob in the scene turned me.
Oh my god, that scene killed me. I'm not,
That movie was a lot for me.
Yeah.
Can't take mommy horror.
Well,
same here.
Tony Collette will make you feel things you didn't know you could feel.
Yep.
In positive and negative ways.
The fact that like Yeah, like you're just with the kid in the bed and you hear it from like downstairs. You're like, oh, this is haunting.
And it's so guttural.
I
Yeah.
know. Ugh.
Yeah.
I just want to die.
Yeah,
Amen, sister.
yeah. That alone, that series of events to just drive home, have the event happen in the car, and park and go to bed. Like, where did you put your brain? Because like, how
Shock.
do you just
Complete
divorce
shock.
yourself from that
Yeah.
I'll
situation?
tell you this. I was high as fuck on 9/11. I wasn't leaving being
I
a dead
fucking
sister
can't.
in the backseat high on 9/11. Okay?
I can't.
I'm sorry, but
I don't
the
get
words
fucked
I
up, but
was
it's-
high as fuck on 9/11,
This is
It's based on a
fucking
true
killing
story.
me.
Shirt,
That-
put that on a shirt.
that's
we
like
were sent home from school that day. They told us that a water main under the school had burst. They were sending the kids home. I was like, sick. I went home and I got high as fuck. And I was laying in my basement.
I can't.
My buddy Bill, my buddy Justin, and my buddy Brandon came over. And they came downstairs. They're like, dude, we're getting attacked. The country's under attack. And I was like,
Shit.
Oh my
dude,
god.
you're really mellowing my high right now,
Yeah.
dude, I
man.
was like, shut up. Like, I thought they were fucking with me. I was like,
Yeah.
did they attack the school water main, bro? Like,
I think these are
attacked-
shrooms.
you're telling me that they attacked Sand Creek High School? Like, what the fuck? So we were watching the news, and my high was just instantly I was just like,
Damn.
it's just like, I'll never forget. I was sitting with my son, who's 15
Mhm.
now, and I had to sit on his lap because he's a fucking giant. I was sitting with him on my lap, crying during the Boston Marathon bombing,
Oh, yeah.
trying to
Oh, wow.
explain to him these people went out to do something they were so passionate about, hoping to have the best day of their life. And, I was crying with him on my lap, just explaining to him, there's such an evil out there, son. Like, you have to always be aware. You have to always be on your toes. If you're at a restaurant, sit where you can see the door. You always have to know your surroundings everywhere you are, because I'm not always going to be here to help you. Like, that's my job, is to make sure when I'm gone, you're okay. That's it.
See, my dad also told me to always sit with your back against the wall
know
and
this
look at the
story.
door, but
Mhm.
that's because he was involved in Italian American activities. So
Oh, yes.
that is very unrelated. Not as sweet as yours. That was no. He was.
Yeah.
Oh, son. Listen, I never sit with my back to the door. You don't know who's gonna come in and want to get you. All right, Dad.
Okay,
all right, I
Dad.
believe you.
Actually,
All right.
After you walk in that
times
door,
as
you let
opposed
me know right away. Don't ask me
I
whose
knew
pen
Sonny
it is.
Black.
Just tell him it's your pen.
Sonny Black.
That's it.
That always kills me.
He goes,
Like,
yeah,
actually
he used to
did.
hang out on. He used to hang out. We used to hang out in Graham Avenue together. Oh, yeah. I used to. My mother always. Oh, Rock! I saw the tiger. It was so pretty. What was a lion? What was this?
I don't
The
know.
lion.
I
Sonny
saw the
Black,
lion.
Red.
They used to feed him steaks. It was beautiful. All right, Ma.
Okay.
All right, Ma.
Listen, Ma, can you just give me your order for McDonald's, please? Can we...
All right, Ma. What do you want? I'm on Seamless now.
For those of you who are completely lost, it's basically the Donnie Brasco movie. Is
Yes,
They
absolutely.
actually my both of my parents knew Donnie Brasco.
They did.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were like, oh yeah. Actually, funny enough, so my neighborhood that we are currently in is where they filmed it. Now it's a gentrified hellscape. Back then it was, a multi-ethnic neighborhood.
Mm.
But yeah, they were like, oh yeah, don't you remember before they knocked it down? They put the Starbucks there. It used to be the club where your grandfather's cousin, he used to go there all the time. Remember Vinny? And he used to, yeah. So
The whole thing.
It's weird
So
when your
these-
grandparents can tell you those stories. You know what I mean? Like
it is
my
weird.
grandpa told me about the Titanic. My grandpa's old enough, and he was there, and yeah, seriously, he was telling people like, don't get on the boat, don't get on the boat.
Look at
Charles'
Charles'
face.
face. I can't
You
take
can't.
it.
I'll never forget my.
Are you
grandpa's
still
face
high?
telling me that.
He's still high.
He never came down from that high from 9/11.
No, seriously, my grandpa. I'll never forget his face when he was telling me this. He was there, and it was like, he was crying, and he was screaming, and he was telling people, "You can't get on that boat. You can't get
Oh
on
my
that boat."
god.
And then finally, the guy came out, and he was like, "Listen, sir, you're in a movie theater. You're ruining the experience for people. Get out. We gotta go now." Okay. That was when my
That
dad
is
saw
a
the
good,
Titanic
oh,
for
that is such a good one. Oh my god, I gotta write that one down. That's a beautiful bit. Oh,
Remember when my
And I
grandma
heard it
told us
before,
that she
God
saw the
damn it.
chupacabra?
My brain, I was trying to process. I'm like, how?
Samantha,
No.
I was so confused. I was like, this can't be real.
for everybody watching at home, that is a career making bit right there. You got
What an
I was
icon.
doing
Oh.
math, and then I'm like, all right, so for him to say don't get on the boat means he had to be in England to tell people not to get on the boat because it never
Charles
made
is
it to
doing
New
all
York.
the math.
I was playing checkers and he was playing chess just now. You know,
Yeah.
that's how you shoot holes in people's jokes right there. Wait, your grandpa's English? How about you let me finish this joke first, Depot?
Yeah, that. All right.
Thank you for coming to Ancestry.com, everybody.
My hard drive overheated there for a second. So yeah, the realistic stuff is I guess I would say a negative for gore in film. Do you think that, I mean, we kind of talked about it with 9/11 and Ken, your story about the Boston bombing. Do you think that we're just constantly getting more and more desensitized?
See, I think it's a double-edged sword because I think yes and no. I think that, and again, please God, don't misconstrue what I'm saying because I really do genuinely strive to be a good person.
I think we
Right.
all do.
You know, like,
I would hope so.
Well, I mean, like, there's
depends
stuff
on
that
how
we're saying
much-
right now that 20 years from now is going to be wrong. It's just the way progression works.
I think it depends on what you relate to the situation, you know? And as sad as that sounds, every human life you should be upset about. You should be upset if a human life gets taken. One of the things, you know, like one, and I hate this. I don't care what the situation is. A human life is lost. And then people are like, oh, you're sad about that? This person did this. Doesn't mean they deserve to die the way they died. You know, like
If you're looking for a completely pure person, good luck.
yeah. You know, like that's the type of shit that bothers me. Well, you know what? He wouldn't have been shot if he wasn't running down the road. I go running. You telling me I deserve to get shot because I've been running? If he would have just listened, he wouldn't be dead right now. It's real easy for you to say, sitting there watching it on a screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I am not anti-cop. I am anti-bad cop. I have a brother that is a police officer, and he is a fucking damn good police officer. And the bad cops are the ones that make my brother look like a fucking idiot. So no, I am not anti-cop. I am anti-bad cop. And I see these videos all the time of what they do. And I just watched, you know, so I seen one the other day. I couldn't finish it, but this guy was walking to work, had his hands in his pockets. Cop was telling him, get your hands out of your pockets. He's like, why? Well, what's going on? And the cop ended up slamming him down on his head, you know, and it's just like, when did we become so extreme? When did we become so heartless, like so cold? And that's a human, and it wasn't even the right guy. They had the wrong guy. This guy did nothing wrong. He was trying to walk to work. That's all he was doing. And he has a great reason to ask why. You know, take your hands out of your pockets. Why? I'm going to work, dude. Like, what is your problem? Like, I shouldn't have to just be like, your word is gospel, and I have to listen to every fucking thing that you say.
Well, also, your immediate reaction when you're confronted by something that you're not expecting is not to give a whole spiel about here's what I'm doing, here's who I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Your instinctual, as a human reaction is, what? Why? What's going on?
Yeah.
Why
This
do I
is
need
my
to do
life,
what you're
you know?
doing? Who are
I have
you?
a cop with a cop rolling up on me while I'm trying to walk to work, telling me to get my hands out of my pockets, lay on the ground. Fuck you. No.
And plus,
Hell no.
there's also videos out there where people pose as police officers.
That
and
too.
It's just like, how do you trust people? Like, I don't know what, I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole where I was watching. This guy had a body cam. He decked himself out in all the gear, but he was pulled over by police. He was just a private investigator, but he had all the gear. He had the sirens, the radio, all that. And we're watching his interaction with actual police from his body cam, which is just, you know, a GoPro.
Yeah.
It was just so like that is alarming. Why is that stuff for sale? Is my question.
Well, I think it's one of those situations again where it's like, object permanence, where you see a lot more of it, you think there's a lot more of it, but realistically, there's probably a kind of inverse relationship between the two, where you see more than you think you see more than there is because you see more than you would have normally.
Mhm.
But realistically, like Ken said, the world has always sucked. I mean,
Just
you can
different.
just name a year. I could tell you the worst thing in history that ever happened, and it always is the worst thing. And the next year, it's the next worst thing. So it's one of those things of like, to relate it to the desensitization again. It's one of those things of like, are we necessarily desensitized? I think we're groomed into it. You see something bad,
You definitely have it more readily available to you now.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting a
Yeah.
constant stream of horrible thing after horrible
Yeah.
thing. Like, I don't have enough emotional energy to give equally to each of these things.
I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
you show anybody who acts like they're not sensitive to things some of the worst things on the internet, and they will 100%. If they don't, they should be put on a list. Like,
You
I
need to
think
get you some help.
Yeah, like I don't think that is not a flex, my friend. Just because, just because you can watch the kill scene in insert gory movie doesn't mean that if you were really out there in the trenches, are you gonna be like, man, this is fine?
Yeah.
Like.
I agree with
And I think a lot of it has to do with kind of like, and listen, crucify me here, everybody. A lot of it is kind of masculine nonsense, right? Like realistically, like, dude, these things are terrible. If you see some of this stuff in real life, you're gonna feel like shit.
It doesn't make you a bitch to be sad if you hear some kid getting the fuck beat out of him on the internet.
Exactly.
Like, I get it. I totally get it. Like, I was saying that earlier. It comes down to mental health is still a joke to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You're a man, suck it up. And that's the shit that is the taboo stuff that gets people killed, whether it's self done or doing it to others. The making a joke about it and making people feel small because they're asking for help is really where a lot of our issue lies. Rather than saying, "Hey, I love you. What can I do to help you?" And because that's a bitch thing. Guys don't say that to each other. I don't give a fuck. Everybody I talk to knows I love them if I do.
Yeah.
I kiss all the homies on the head.
Yeah. Me too. The only bad part about that is when you're trying to stand back up. Like, my knees get old.
I didn't specify which one.
I was trying to be good, and you went there.
But yeah, it's you have
Just
that
a kiss, huh? That's it.
Yeah, in the moonlight.
Tease.
Foreplay, darling. Foreplay.
So that to me is just, when you have this stigma around mental health, especially in men. Mental health is very serious in men, women, everybody. Any single person that's struggling with mental health issues, it's never a joke. It's never you're a bitch. It's never, tough it out. Sometimes we all need help, and a chemical imbalance is not something us as a human being can control on our own sometimes. We need another chemical to balance it back out. And a lot of people look at that as, oh, you're weak. You're soft. No, you're weak if you think that you can do it on your own, and you're too scared to ask for help.
If ever there were a company that should put a fuck ton of money behind, educating people on this, it should be the NRA. For as much as they say it's not guns, it's mental health. All right, well, put your fucking money where your mouth is and not, buy politicians and start putting some studies into mental health and, help us solve this shit. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
It's because they don't make a direct payment off of mental health, unfortunately.
They would have to admit that they were wrong.
Troy, 5 super chat. Thank you. Ken's spitting facts for a while now. I also have a brother-in-law in law enforcement, and he looks a lot like at a lot of his peers like the average scared citizen.
I could see it.
Well, but my brother, he told me, every time he walks up at a traffic stop and people have their phone out or anything like that, he's like, all right, I'll go buy the books. You were doing 18 over? Here you go. Here's your ticket for 18 over. Have a great day. He's not going to cut you a break. You're filming. I'm not going to risk my job now. My brother, he's a good guy. You're in a residential area doing 15 over. Slow the fuck down. There's kids around here. filming them. Okay, I'll be back. License and registration.
Yeah,
They wrote me for 18 over, and then don't be an idiot.
I think location has a lot to do with some of that stuff too. Like I cannot. I've been pulled over, I think 2 or 3 times in my life. Um, I I have not had any sort of experience where I could say it was terrible. There was one where the guy said that I didn't have a seatbelt on, and I did, and you know, it's because my car had like the seatbelt over the shoulder, and he's like, "When did you put that on?" And I was like, "Oh, I always wear hoodies. It was over the seatbelt," and he's like, "Well, whatever." And I spoke to a cop friend and told me, you know, when you go to court, tell them that, you know, you're not saying that the police officer what he thinks he saw isn't true, but you did have your seatbelt on, but you know your shirt was covering it. Don't dispute that what the cops saw. And it's like, you know, it's really weird, but not everybody wants to kiss everybody's ass. And you know, yes, they're in a position of authority. Yes, a lot of them take it a little way too hard, a little too serious. But is it really going to ruin your day if you say, "I'm sorry, sir. What was I doing? What's going on?" And it's easy for me to say, as you know, a very fuckable white boy who, you know, if I spent 20 minutes in jail, I'd you know,
I'll get the
I'd
bail money.
I'd be torn open. So
Picture it
I
didn't happen.
don't. One more time.
I said picture it didn't happen.
This is not the only fans I signed up for.
Right. And I grew up in I was a minority in Queens, Bayside High, not the Saved by the Bell. Bayside High is a predominantly black high school, and you know I had, you know, instances where I witnessed certain types of systemic racism, but you know, I never really experienced it. And because I was around it, I knew to just, you know, keep my mouth shut and, you know, eyes forward. But you know, if you're constantly dealing with that, you know, you're gonna lose your shit at some point. Be like,
Yes.
dude, I'm not doing anything, man. Like, what the fuck? Again with this shit. Why are you pulling me over?
And that's it. You know, a human being can only take so much until they snap. You know what I mean? Like, that's just it. A human being can only take so much until they tell someone they're going to bounce their head off the concrete. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you can only push someone so far until those type of things happen. And it's sad because sometimes you snap at the wrong time, you know, to the wrong person. And it's really, like, again, I know you guys are like, oh, you're going off on a tangent. We're not. This is about desensitization and how it's different from real life and how it is in horror. You know, like with movies, it really is easier to become desensitized because we know this is fiction. This isn't real. Those people are okay. And 98% of the times when you have a death scene in a movie, it is fun. Those people on set are having a great time. They are loving every second of it. So
Special effects crews back there like,
Yeah.
Well, even like
Jamie Leone in the bedroom scene was like,
well, even it's funny because like we're talking about, like, I think we're talking about it kind of linear, right? But you know, obviously Celise has graced me with the gift of Giallo, and like there are movies from back then that they don't do anything too. Some of them do some crazy shit actually, but for the most part, they're not doing anything that's that much crazier than you know, Terrifier or whatever. But it's still really unsettling. Like, it makes you feel really shitty, but and it's still effective, even though it technically is, you know, from a time that was less desensitized.
Do you think? I'm sorry, Rock. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm done.
Do you think realism plays into how we feel about, you know, being able to shrug it off? Like Giallo films. When I think of a Giallo film, I think of pink blood. That's blood that is this color.
right.
But if I were to watch something like, you know, the I don't know, something modern, Irreversible, we'll do that again. That sucks. Like that, I'm just like, I'm
That's
exhausted
gay.
watching it. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Oh, sorry.
No. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think it's interesting because like if you really think about it, like what is realistic? You know, I think it's we know going in that it's not. So I think there's an amount of suspending belief that we do. You know, so like in the example that I was saying about Jalo, like a lot of the Jolly, I think we kind of you get invested because there's a human aspect in some way, even though the blood looks fake, or even though some of the dialogue is goofy. There's like exactly. There's like human emotion, and some movies that look real and feel real, they might just not be that good, and the characters aren't written that great, so it doesn't feel as real.
Right.
Yeah.
So kind of like
But
what you
I
guys.
do think you go ahead, Dice.
Well, it's just kind of like what you guys were talking about earlier. Like I've been subjecting myself a little bit more to what was modern remakes of like 80s slashers. So it's more extreme. There's more gore. There's more violence. And you would think that because it would be more realistic, you would care. I don't. Who are these people? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Kill them. Let me see what you got. Put her in a wood chipper. Okay, let's go.
I feel like I feel the same.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the type of film. Like Speak No Evil. I watched that movie and I couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks after. Like that's another movie that really Ashley and I both. Ashley and I watched that movie, and have you guys seen Speak No Evil? The Dutch
That
film,
one is
2022.
That one is difficult.
Did I see that?
It's heavy.
Yeah, we watched it together. It's very heavy.
Wait, I watched that movie?
Yes, you may have fallen asleep.
When did I watch it?
You may have fallen
Wait,
asleep.
is Speak No
You
Evil
fall
the
asleep
one
often.
with is the Speak No Evil the one with the hot parents?
You realize how
Yes.
little that narrows this down?
you have my attention.
Yeah, no, wait, which one am I? Speak No Evil.
I don't think.
What is that
so,
one?
Unless you.
What?
It's about these two
didn't
families that
find them
meet at a
hot.
resort, and then the Dutch family ends up going over to their family's house. For
Yeah, and they
like,
were
this,
being weird.
and
White Lotus?
No.
It sounds like funny games.
No, I don't know. I don't remember.
Speak No
Did I
Evil.
fall
It's
asleep?
rough. Like the way that
It's
the movie
rough.
plays
They're
out.
doing an American remake now, which we don't need.
I don't.
Wait,
James
Speak No
McAvoy's in it though.
Oh, I didn't even know
Maybe
that.
we do need it. Okay.
Maybe we need it.
But I mean, I think it's Blumhouse, so it'll be sensitized compared to what
Yeah,
the Dutch
for
film.
watch the
sure.
trailer.
For
They do
anybody
it
that wants to
different in
watch a movie
Europe.
that is scared of like, oh, it's a foreign film. It's 85% in English. There's some
Yeah.
parts where they speak in Dutch where there's subtitles on it, but that movie, I'm telling you, for a good 2 weeks, Ashley and I couldn't stop thinking about that. Our review of it comes out next Friday, actually.
What's it called? Speak No
Speak No
Evil?
Evil. Yep, it's on
Yeah.
Amazon Prime right now.
I don't remember.
Is it on American?
Oh, I do remember this movie, and they have the little.
Don't spoil.
No, it's
Yeah,
not a
don't-
spoiler. They have the station wagon, right?
Yes.
Yes,
with the
I
little
do
girl.
remember. Yeah, I
She's
do remember
also-
that movie.
Milking a cow, by the way.
But yeah,
or,
it's,
or something else.
Milking could be involved.
that's a very rough viewing. Like
Yeah,
we
that
have
movie was intense.
our best friends. We told them, hey, watch this movie. And Jordan, my buddy, he called me and he was like, hey, bro, I love you, but I fucking hated you last night watching that movie. And I was
that
like,
sounds
I told you,
familiar.
dude. Like, I love this movie because it's so well made. I will never watch this movie again because of how fucked up it is. It's just so. There's parts where I literally wanted to jump into the TV and bash this guy's brains in for how. Again, I try to be kind. I try to let people know that I care about them, that their opinions matter, that their voices are heard.
With
Not
love,
at-
I will kill him.
But no, not at the detriment of my wife or my kids.
Mm.
If you're going to do something that makes my wife or my kids uncomfortable, and I don't think this is a spoiler, the wife is vegetarian. They go to the house, and the guy's like, you got to try this meat. And she's like, no, I'm a vegetarian. He's like, you got to try it. Please try it. You have to eat this. And then her husband's like, oh, yeah, just go ahead and try it, whatever. It's like, if my wife said no, back the fuck up. My wife said no. That's it. 18 years, I've never made her do something she didn't want to do, ever. Because what she
Except
wants
for
is-
dad
That's
jokes.
it.
That was.
I mean, that's one of those things where it's like you secretly like these. that's my king. Getting like get bondaged out. Like, what did the one muffin say to the other muffin? Oh my god, it's hot in here. He's
What?
like, a talking muffin.
What is it called? Next door? What? I
But is it Speak No Evil?
speak no
Speak
evil.
no evil.
Charles
Thanks for
still trying
giving
to find a movie.
a new image to my nightly terror demons, Ken. Thank you very much.
Yeah, CP, you gotta text me after you watch this movie and let me know what you think.
Okay.
I think Jacob in the chat, I agree. Gore and violence can only ever be bad in the sense that it doesn't fit the tone of the film or it isn't earned. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I mean, would you say the same thing for nudity and or sex, though?
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
as
yeah.
a
Oh,
bisexual.
There's
Listen.
definitely seen movies where I watch and I'm like, that seemed forced to me, especially with the nudity and the sex. There's certain, and I think that you can even tell as a viewer when people are uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
The biggest thing
Yeah.
is like going back and watching Carrie and like the opening title card. We have all these girls walking around in the locker room. As a kid, I was like, yes, boobs and bush everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a 38-year-old man
Yeah.
watching what is supposed to be teenage girls walking around in a locker room nude, it makes me extremely uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah.
I know they're of age, but they're portrayed as young ladies in a high school locker room. This is not sexy to me anymore. Me and actually, we're for stupid day, St. Patrick's Day. We're doing a review of Leprechaun Returns. Sorry, I don't drink anymore.
Stupid day.
I am an
Stupid
Irish
day to me
person,
because I
sir.
don't
How
drink
dare
anymore,
you?
so it's a worthless day to me.
Oh,
Again, St. Patrick, everything cool. Irish, happy for you. Glad you celebrate. I don't drink, so sad day for me. We were watching this movie. There's a part where the guy's like, "God, only you can make cleaning look sexy," and she's like, "Stop! I'm trying to clean." And I was like, "Oh my God, she sounds like a little girl. That's not sexy. That my boner would have ran away. Caught a plane to never coming back again, Bill, because that was not sexy whatsoever. It sounded like infantile, like a child, like a little kid saying it. And I was just like, oh, that's fucking gross. Like, don't ever talk to me like that. I was just like, trust me, I won't. But like, there was nothing sexy to me about somebody pretending to be an innocent little girl. Like, that's not attractive to me. If I was 16 or 17, I'd have been like, yeah, baby. But as an 38-year-old man, that's gross. I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah, I see. I feel like, and this goes back to like old Hollywood sex sells. That kind of mantra, or the casting couch thing. I think I've always.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I experienced it when I was in film school, and people were like, "Oh my God, this is so funny," and I'm like, "Yeah." I'm not paying you, so you don't have to worry about fucking feeding my ego. So, I've always had this. As long as it's like equal, if I see some dude's dick just as much as I see a pair of breasts, then so be it. But it seems like it, like you said, Ken, it's forced. Where Emily and I were talking about this before. Oppenheimer. There's a scene where he's sitting naked, where he's being interviewed by Congress, and it makes sense. The metaphor is he's completely exposed, and he's they're like that makes sense to me artistically speaking. But the sex scene with him and Florence Pugh, I felt like it was unnecessary. There's a scene where they're seated nude talking to one another, and again, this same metaphor where they're completely exposed speaking to one another. But I felt like the sex scene in Oppenheimer was a bit much.
It's
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, listen, I find I consider myself very far from being a prude, but like, what? You never had sex? You gotta see sex in a movie? Like, you're dying to see it? Like, listen, man, make it make sense, man. Like,
It
once
needs
again,
to make sense. It needs to be necessary for this.
I agree, and once again,
And for the characters, it matters.
because you don't feel nothing. It's same as kills,
Yeah,
teenage
me
I'm
argues
looking at
against
Eli
this.
Roth right now.
Oh, Eli.
Solis is just ready to fight Eli Roth right now all day.
Eli Roth's
I'd
ass,
watch
to be
that.
honest.
I don't think that's desensitization as much as it's maturation. We
Yeah,
mature past
exactly.
the point I don't need to see boobies all the time. And I agree with you, CP. Like, I was jaw to the floor when I saw what Kid Cudi was packing in X.
Holy
I was like, that's a
smokes.
work of art.
Wait.
It was prosthetic.
It was prosthetic, right?
Oh, was it?
Unfortunately,
I think I read that it was.
it was
That
prosthetic.
didn't cast a shadow.
So
They
you're
didn't need a
telling me that they
tripod.
had to shorten it up?
It's like Sebastian
there-
Stan had the prosthetic one in what was
In
that?
Fresh?
No,
Not Fresh.
no.
No,
Pam
in
and Tommy.
Pam and Tommy. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
you
had
gotta,
a
you
prosthetic
gotta
one
watch
in Bride of Killer
Shane. You want
Pinata
to
too,
see
so.
a snake. Holy Fassbender.
Hey, you know,
acting.
Snake.
Holy.
Saltburn just came out. No,
Never been more
Oh.
turned off in my life. A snake.
But I'm just saying, like, holy shit! When I saw that for Kid Cudi, because it's funny enough. We took What a Ghoul Wants, Anna, to go see that movie. Ashley and I did, and we didn't know how sexy X was. So it was just like me, Ashley, and Anna.
when
And
you
we're all
take
sitting
your
there.
friends to see
Yeah, I
it.
was like,
Oh no.
I'm sorry if this is really uncomfortable for you, but that's Kid Cudi's wiener and it's beautiful, so just ignore it.
Wiener.
You know, before we got on here, Ken just went, "I am not bisexual," but and now it's coming through. Ken's waxing poetic
Kenny's
about
coming to walk the
Kid
rainbow with
Cudi's-
us soon.
Okay, look, Kid Cudi's wiener in that movie is a beautiful work of art. Like, it is. I don't want to taste it.
Well, it looks
know?
scary. It's so
You
big.
can taste it, just consume it. Let it
Right, that thing,
Have a seat.
That thing is
Just
like
take it
deadly
home.
weapon
Wow.
in some countries.
Why did your brain go straight to tasting it? Like, there are other
Well, I
steps
definitely
before
don't
you
want it
taste
anywhere
it.
else.
There's other holes, sir.
Oh no, Ken.
You could dock. There's
Mutually
plenty.
beneficial projects can ensue.
Well, I feel
It's fine.
like if you were to dock, it'd kind of make me feel a little insecure. I'm not, you know,
Just
like,
Exactly.
overpowered.
oh man, we're not
We're a
even
little-
docking. You're crashing your
after
shipping.
that, even a 757 would look small going into the Grand Canyon.
This
You
is
know what I'm
70
saying?
30
Like,
here. This isn't docking. What is this?
that would be a bad day in Kennytown. That's all I know.
But any chance I get to bring up Michael Fassbender in the film Shame, the dude unfluffed is just.
Oh, that's on my
swinging.
watch list.
Holy
Letterboxd.
shit.
Well, something to look
Wait.
forward to.
Wait.
Yeah,
show his
Shame.
dick?
He's addicted to sex. Oh my God, do they?
Oh.
A lot. A
Yeah,
lot.
isn't that a movie about a
I'll be
sex
watching this on my projector.
Yeah,
later.
yeah. I mean,
we
good
got to
for
see
him.
unfluffed mega
Yeah,
cock on our projector now.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
What else is it for?
When we were
Touche.
doing Bride of Killer Pinata and they told me they were ripping my junk off, I was like, do I get to show my real junk?
Can we use
They were
it?
like, it'll be prosthetic. I was like, oh.
Oh,
Now, see, I was very concerned. I had to watch that film and review it, sir. I was very concerned. And for a brief moment, I was like, oh, wait, he told me about this. Wait.
Yeah.
Jeez.
well, now you're taking the immersion out of it. Why would you tell us it was prosthetic?
Well, because of the size. There's no
Oh.
way. I mean, like,
They had
They
to size you
used the
down.
Linnea
didn't they?
Quigley prosthetic.
I'm-
and they just put
yeah,
that on.
I'm hung like a 13-year-old Chinese girl. Okay, like when they told me that, I was like,
I
please
don't know what that.
help me out.
I
a
don't know
little
what
bit.
that means.
Nobody look it up. Nobody look
I don't want to look that up.
Google will put you on a list, please.
Yeah. Gonna be put on a list immediately.
There's like 17 flags in 5 words that you said. I don't.
Everybody's just pausing the stream, analyzing the sentence, going, okay.
Yeah.
So, see, talk about desensitization. That
Yeah.
made me uncomfortable,
That was wild.
Yeah, those are just words.
and that's a
Well,
great
and
joke.
Still, but like you talk about nudity, like they still like the autopsy of Jane Doe, for instance. They had to like part of her audition was you have to grow pubic hair for this role because you're going to be laying naked, and we can't show that. If it's covered by hair, we're okay for an R rating. If there's
Aw.
no hair, we can get hit with an X rating for this.
It's so weird because, like, I mean, if your legs are closed, it's just it's a butt in the front. I mean, right?
It's just a little triangle.
You know,
Yeah, well,
it's so funny because
a little triangle.
you know, I think it's funny because Ken said this before we went on the whole tangent about Kid Cudi's cock. Was
Oh my god.
was
Just give me my band name, Kid Cudi's cock.
was the difference between desensitization and
Censored.
maturation, but also oversaturation.
Mm.
Where there are some things that I think we become desensitized to by seeing it a lot. But I think really what we end up doing is we kind of get tired of things more. And I think, overblown
Superhero
nudity.
movies? Oh, sorry. No.
Overblown nudity, I think, is one of them. I mean, and there's always there's this argument. I'm not going to get into it, but this argument about a lot of people don't like to see sex scenes anymore. This, not the third, and people are like, today everybody's a prude or whatever nonsense.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think it's just there's an oversaturation of unnecessary. Well, a lot of the times there's unnecessary sex scenes and things that aren't earned. And a lot of times there's forced romance plots that just don't need to necessarily. And I think we're seeing a kind of a movement of that, of people kind of writing more nuanced relationships between people. And I think it just, it just kind of shows that we overall are a little over unnecessary romance and sex scenes and things.
I think that has a lot to do with the Bechdel test too. A female character had to be interested in a male, like that was part of an arc for a character in a movie, and it's just like
It's
you can just not be in love with somebody.
Yeah.
Or,
Can't just
or-
be
It's
homies.
crazy how women are like people,
That's weird.
right? And they have other feelings.
Oh, just
Babe, this is
take-
Hollywood.
Right? And not everything is always about like, oh my god, I have a crush on this really cute guy.
Are you
let
trying?
pretentious wine out? Why don't you? Jeez.
Are you
Maybe
trying
I
to
need
say?
more wine. I'm out.
You guys are talking
Babe.
about like the excessive nudity that's not needed. I mean, that goes back to even like when we were watching what's that movie? Silent Night, Deadly Night. And Santa is killing the mom. He rips her shirt off just to cut her throat. Like there's really no reason for him to have ripped her shirt off just to show her breasts, but to make an actress uncomfortable and horny dudes horny. That was it. He ripped her shirt off, saw her boobies, cut her throat. Like it was just like watching it now. It's like why?
Woo!
I
We got the 4. We got feet almost.
I literally got so
We
scared.
almost got feet.
For free.
Not. I was gonna say that.
Well, no, I cut my toe on my bed a little bit ago, so I've been trying to nurse it, and it's not good. There's
We almost saw a toe.
excessive amount of blood.
Oh!
Holy Christmas!
Oh my God! What is your bed made out of?
What is
Razor
Oh my God,
blades?
do you have
Jesus
like
Christ!
barbed wire
It
on your
fits the
bed?
theme.
Speaking of desensitization,
Yeah, the bed frame at the very end. The
Ken
other day,
took
I
this
was trying to pull
hardcore.
stuff out of my room, and I curved it. And when I came in to sit down, I hit that one spot right on my foot. So this whole time, I've been trying to nurse this cut on my foot as we.
this man has been in pain
because
this
I've
whole
been a
time.
professional.
So you were out here waxing poetic about Kid Cudi's cock while nursing your foot,
Bleeding out from the
bleeding
toe.
out. This man needs a doctor. He can pass out. Man, Kid Cudi's cock.
That's what's kept me afloat. See people talking about, if he ever has a band, they're going to be called Kid Cudi's Cock, and I just, what's up, everybody? We're Kid Cudi's Cock. It's going to be a pretty long set. We hope you guys have a good night.
We're a Limp Bizkit cover band.
This next song's called Fastbander's Fluffer. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, that doesn't look good, does it?
No, you know
I've
what?
seen and had worse, but it's still.
Oh.
I'm just. I almost broke my arm, man. Come on.
I might shove a tampon in this hole.
It might work.
Stupid.
See, why don't you kiss it?
You do look like you're plugging.
Love Jennifer's body.
See, I was not high on 9/11.
I'm never gonna forget that.
I was high on 9/11.
That was the craziest thing.
That's the best
That
thing.
was so funny.
I think that's the best thing I've heard all weekend.
It's the type of thing you can't write. Like, I'll never forget that day. Dude, we're under attack. I was like, Sand Creek? What?
Oh my fucking God.
We're the home of the Aggies. The fuck did we do?
Yeah. It's always funny hearing stories like people who get like freaked out, and it's like, dude, you're in South Dakota. Relax.
Yeah, I love that.
just slow down.
I always think of that. Not to get on a tangent here. I always think of Red Dawn as like a perfect
Oh,
microcosm
yeah.
of that. Because like,
Yeah.
why the hell would they? Why would the Soviets invade your rinky-dink town? Like they're going, we got to invade the U.S. We're gonna go through this
Isn't it
one.
Colorado?
Yeah, like Colorado. Colorado? Where are
They
you
make their way
going?
across 4 states.
Yeah,
and
what are you-
airdrop
what
to
you-
To drop
They had to go
in
through
Colorado.
Utah.
Yeah, you could airdrop through anywhere. Why are you airdropping into Colorado? There's
We
nothing
heard
better.
that marijuana is legal.
And there's Tom Cruise and Patrick Swayze there to save the day. Good old
Gonna def-
varsity team just gonna save the world from the Russians.
Your developed country can't beat our varsity team. What? What? I've seen towns in Colorado. They do not look like developed nations. Okay, you are not. What? You're being the second strongest army in the world. What? I can go on a whole tangent about this. Don't even
I think
get
the
me started.
Ukraine has a copy of Red Dawn in every home because that's inspiration. I think.
Like, your developed country can't take out our fucking lacrosse team, bro.
And don't let the football players get a hold of you.
And I do have to say, as someone who was born and raised in Colorado, I can confirm what Rocco says.
I think
Places you don't want to go.
okay,
We don't
so
want to mess with the lacrosse team.
so
I have
I'm
no
a
idea
bit
about the lacrosse.
I'm a bit
We
of
got
a, I'm a-
hockey.
I'm a bit of a military nerd, so I'm gonna say this real quick. I think a beautiful like microcosm of Red Dawn was the fact that they didn't have enough intel on what actual like Russian camo looked like, so they just made one up. And it's so wrong and fake looking compared to the real one. And like that's just a beautiful example of like I think that's just like a beautiful example of that movie of just like, man, where are the Russians attacking? Colorado. What do their uniforms look like? I don't know.
Well,
Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of like, what we've been doing since 9/11 in the Middle
Yeah.
East. They just kind of blend in. They're just, who's the enemy? I don't know.
Where are they? I don't know, but it's yellow. We're just making the whole screen yellow when they go there.
I mean, we did that to the British, and now we're learning our lesson. Camo.
But we
they-
also have pink camo, in case you need to hide from flamingos.
I've been trying to get Celeste to play
Obsessed.
paintball. I'm
I'll
like,
be
I'll
wearing
get
the
you
pink
pink camo,
camo.
babe.
Let's do it.
She's gonna be holding the gun like this.
I'll give you pink camo so you can stand out for everybody.
Be amazing.
It better be
That's how I want to go out.
Cold War propaganda and the satanic.
Hell yeah, brother. This guy gets it. I love this guy. This guy, everything he's been saying. I've been fucking with you, Jake.
He's always at my streams.
I know.
Shout out Jacob, real one.
Yeah, I don't know if we answered any real questions in
This was
regards
insane.
It's a good group.
what.
I think we can all agree that Kid Cudi, regardless, is well hung. Thank you, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I'm not desensitized enough when it comes to those tripods on those gentlemen.
Equality.
Ken, what do you got coming up?
Tomorrow night we are doing a Sledgehammer watch along for The Strangers at 8
Ooh.
p.m. So bring your copy of The Strangers. Come and watch.
Is Tamara home?
Huh?
Is Tamara home?
You got the wrong house, bud.
Wrong house. This is not my Uber Eats.
And then we have a couple of my first horror movies coming out this week. Our Speak No Evil review comes out on Friday, and
Wow.
Thursday at 8 p.m. we'll be doing a live on our top 10 horror kills, which we funnily enough have never done. We've always done it by franchise. This is just top 10 kills. And in a couple weeks we will have our In Defense of on It Follows with a certain beautiful gentleman. So very, very excited about that coming out soon as well.
Yeah, you don't. Oh, I don't want to spoil, but yeah, I'm gonna lay the smackdown on people who suddenly it's cool to start hating on It Follows, and I'm gonna shit on everybody's head.
I don't get it. The movie's so damn
that's-
good.
It's
Yeah.
a fine movie.
It's
What's
good.
wrong with it?
It
I need to
doesn't
rewatch
have
it.
like a Jason type character that I can buy merch for. Meh.
How am I gonna buy an
White
action
shirt,
figure of
yeah.
nothing?
Shit!
I
You
would
know,
buy that old lady. Give me a NECA doll of that old lady who's just walking in the middle of that field.
I think the problem is for a lot of people that don't like It Follows is that they can't empathize with the characters because they have sex.
Yeah.
I'm
Bunch
serious.
of
People
virgins
ask
around
me,
here.
What horror movie would you survive in? I've been married for 18 years. Put me in It Follows. I'm safe as hell. I ain't gonna die. I'm straight.
Ken is hyped up.
I'm good. The one kid gets humped to death by his mom. Like, that's fucked up, dude. Like, that shit is messed up. Like, when I watched the movie, I was like, that's his mom. Thank God he died. He wouldn't want to
He
live
would
in
be
that.
able
Ken,
to
I
recover from that.
can't take
And
you.
and they missed a golden opportunity to get Kid Cudi on the on the
Oh
roof.
my god.
That's what would be chasing me. It wouldn't even be him. It would just be like the Freddy worm and Freddy's dead coming after you.
Oh
No,
my
do you remember
God.
that? Like the very end, there's like a naked guy just on top of a roof because that's normal.
Yeah.
Just
That's
some
fine.
naked guy on top of a roof. Just
Well, see, Kid Cudi could propel down from that.
He's got a fire hose. You just fucking.
Yeah.
All you hear is,
It's like Indiana Jones, kind of.
That
Well,
just
on the
has a
right side,
wiki
It
copter and
Follows
it causes
2.
a typhoon.
oh. Shit.
Every guy here knows what the winky copter is. Don't act like you don't.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry,
Your code words actually have meaning. So.
It's terrible segue. Sweet and spooky.
Oh my god.
How you guys
Good luck
doing?
with
What
the
you guys
follow-up.
got coming up?
I have a fun review coming up of They Look Like People. I feel like it's an underrated gem. Talking about that. And then I have a Jala review coming out, a Short Night of Glass Dolls. And in March, we have Table Screams. We're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. So
Ooh.
be there. Dice will be taking part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, as who?
I don't
We
know.
haven't
Oh.
decided yet.
I don't
We
know.
haven't casted
That's-
yet.
That's up to her. I'm just over here.
We're writing
I'm
dice
here
into
going-
the story.
We're currently working
Um,
on the script because there's some problematic things we need to write out.
Are there?
Oh,
I don't remember.
yeah.
It was
Just like some
2003.
lines, yeah, it's
Yeah,
2003.
Yeah, that says enough.
We usually have to do that. Lots of work.
Well, that's awesome. And when I get back to the States, like we seriously have to like go like watch a movie or something in
We
the city or
do.
something.
You
Like
need to come
genuinely,
over. Remember I told you I'm making you an espresso martini.
Oh,
Oh, what's
hell
going on?
yeah.
Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember. I don't remember those being the ingredients though. That sounds impressive.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you one.
Fuck it.
He's a
Hey,
Espresso and a martini. Choose
espresso
one.
martini? You never had one?
no.
The
You never
closest
heard
I've
of
They're
it?
dope.
It's
I've
heard
very
of it.
popular here.
I've heard of it. I've
I'm
never
I'm
had
from
one.
Long Island. Maybe.
Oh
it doesn't
yeah,
get
Long
over there.
yeah. They maybe
Long
it's
Island
too
tends to
fancy
be
for
like
Long
10 years back
Islanders.
behind.
Yeah, we got bagels. We have really big bagels.
Do you have bagels with lox?
They haven't invented that in Long Island yet.
Oh. Is it anything close to Kahlua?
What, the espresso martini?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has Kahlua in it.
Oh, okay. Then I have come close.
Oh, okay. There's also chocolate martinis. That's a thing.
I've had one
Yeah.
of those.
Okay.
Chocolate
It's kind of
martinis,
like
I
that,
guess.
but obviously it's espresso. and
You know
not
what's great
chocolate.
about chocolate martinis is like chocolate is great and martinis alone are disgusting. So like when you put them together, it makes this drink that's drinkable.
It's really good.
Because it really like where is the martini part? You know, like that's what I want to know. I'm going off here.
Anyways, Charles will be over for espresso martini.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah, brother.
We'll
Couple
do
more
live
months.
updates.
I need to see these updates.
Dice.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Anything?
Oh my god.
Oh, I imagine so. Probably. Let me think. Let's see. I recently had my review for 976 Evil put up, so we've got
Good
that.
Deftones song. Sorry.
True. Based off the movie. So there you go. Tomorrow there will be a review for Demon Wind. For everyone's enjoyment, you're welcome.
That's what I call farts.
Well, see, that's the problem. It ain't about that, and I'm so upset about that. because that's exactly where I was gonna go with it. But
That's what I went in looking for.
yeah, it's Satan breaking wind, and I get nothing. It's very sad.
False advertising.
I'm gonna put it this way without revealing too much, of course. It's, I believe, a direct-to-video 1990 B horror movie with a very small budget, and I don't think that the person who wrote the script knew what humans were. So,
Interesting.
there's that. It's, once again, I have fun making the review. You might not have too much fun watching the movie alone, but enjoy.
Wow.
After that, let's see. I'm swear more. The horror of mental health will be coming. I'm lining up guests. We've got a lot of suggested guests to try to wrangle in, you know. And aside from that, the Company of Wolves will be coming sometime shortly. Hopefully, maybe, possibly. A review for that, facts video for that, of course. Anything after that, I don't know.
Awesome.
You got to look after March, though. March is going to be very interesting, I think.
Oh, ooh, that's not too cryptic.
All right, fine.
Oh.
I think the 18th, if I'm remembering correctly. I always get fucking confused. The day after St. Patrick's Day is the 10th anniversary of my channel.
Ah.
What? Oh
It's
my
a
god!
big
Congratulations.
So I'm going to get people involved. We're going to get people involved. There will be a post that will come out on my channel about this, of course, giving direction and whatnot for all those who might want to participate. But I want to have people send, I don't know, something they want me to read during the stream, a video that I shall be watching during the stream. Of course, people coming in playing games, doing some stupid shit, you know, the usual.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh,
We ain't
yeah.
there yet. We don't know. Something could happen.
All right.
Susan could come back.
No need to jinx it. Troy,
Yeah, no.
$5. We learned a lot tonight, mainly about fluffed cocks. The destination was off, but like they say, life is about the journey. Thank you, Troy.
Hey, we're not desensitized to Kid Cudi.
Right.
No, I
No,
need more of
honestly, it really affected all of us.
that. I'm ignorant, if anything, not desensitized.
Yeah.
I need more. So as far as here at home base, Emily and I just recorded a audio podcast talking about a bunch of British nuclear films. Oppenheimer. Yes, it's not technically British, but Nolan is British. When the
Loophole.
Wind Blows and Threats. And that will be up shortly for supporters of the channel. That means patrons and channel members. Gray Poupe and I will be reacting to a lot of people who are commenting on stand-up comedy and how certain comedians aren't funny anymore. And considering I will be doing stand-up again in a few weeks,
That's awesome.
I'm kind of getting.
Are we invited?
Oh my god.
I'll be. I mean,
Where's
if
the
you want to
private
come to England, sure.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh.
I'm not
Are
doing
you-
it only once. I'll be doing it back in New York when I get back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I got to pick your brain about that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that used to do stand up in Long Island, so I gotta pick
Oh,
your brain and see if you knew any of them.
That's quite possible, depending how far back we go. Yeah. So yeah, people. It's there's a lot to it, and a lot of these videos I haven't seen yet. I have seen the Dave Chappelle special, and as somebody who has written material and knows a bit about both ends of stand-up, he's not funny anymore. That's silly talk, but I don't know what I'm reacting to. Gray has seen the video. We'll be talking about that at length. I just watched. Oh, what the hell is the name of the stupid fucking movie for that?
Lady
Oh.
Ballers?
Oh, that's coming up. Lady Ballers.
Oh.
Yay! Yay!
Oh no, you don't even
Gonna
want to know.
Oh, I don't
Speaking
know
of
if it is.
comedy,
The production of that movie has a funny story too. I don't know if you know I don't know.
there's actually comedy somewhere within that film.
Oh no, like making like how pathetic they were. Like it's a whole story.
Yeah, it's oh boy. there's that, and the next episode of Who Would Like That is Angst, which I'm having a hard time with because it's based on a true story, and some of it is they took liberties with, so I don't know how to approach that. But yeah, that is just about everything. Thank you so much to everybody who dropped super chats. There's no chance that this is going to be free for ads. They're going to block this pretty hard.
So many mentions of Kid Cudi.
Yeah. Between the cocks, between the gore in the beginning, like we're the super.
Let's
chat
talk about 9/11.
Oh my God,
And advertisers went. Ah.
Yeah, we just deny COVID while we're ahead.
I don't know if you know or not. I was super high on 9/11.
I think the words "I was high on 9/11" is enough to like block ads on like most of your life. That's like Google AdWords purgatory. Like
Susan isn't even working for Google anymore, and she felt that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's why I did the intro that I did. I'm like, there's no chance that
Strap in.
this is gonna get monetized. So fuck it. Here we go. Let's show it all.
Super chats are welcome even after Patreon in the description. Thank you.
Indeed. If you're watching this in the future, everybody's links and so on and so forth are down below. If not, you can just click on their names in the description and it'll take you to their page. Ken of Sledgehammer Horror, thank you. The Sweet and Spooky duo, thank you so much for taking part. And lastly but not leastly, Dice of Dice Rollin', thank you for being here.
I was required to be here. I don't know.
Required?
Contract.
Thanks.
I don't know. He already put my name on the thumbnail. I'm like, oh shit.
Right, the gun's in the shot.
Oh.
Right.
Move your head. The gun's in the shot.
It's fine. It's up in the seat here. All right, it's fine.
All right, guys. Have a good Saturday. Is it still Saturday? I don't know.
It is
Yeah.
still
For another
Saturday
half
here.
hour.
for most people.
Have a good night, everybody. Yay.
Bye.